Welcome to another Todd's
2-Minute Tech Tip Tuesday.
Brought to you by the National RV Training Academy, the largest hands-on RV training academy in America. Hey, before we get to the video, which I know this is the reason why you're here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss anything. Hit the subscribe button now. Thank you. Now, back to our Tech Tip Tuesday. Hey, this week we're going to cover 5 things you should never do in your RV. Now, before we get over there, I'm going to go ahead and point you to our new channel here. Got a channel down here. This is where we actually go into deeper dives with the tech tips. Me and Tony get together and we just begin to expound, talk a lot more about the subject matter that we're talking about. So, if you want to go ahead, click that now. We're building the content. You should be seeing it here shortly. We want to get enough content before we start releasing it. It will come out weekly, if not a little bit sooner than that. But if you want to learn a little bit more about this stuff, not necessarily technician stuff, but just random stuff that we're going to be talking about with the RV. So go ahead and click below, hit the subscribe button, hit like every time we send out a video, and hopefully we can get that one off the ground. Now, let's get to our tech tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 5 things you should never do in the RV. Now, I know that some of these, the subject matter, may be controversial. It doesn't matter. I'm going to still give my opinion. So number 1, never drive with your propane on. Now, I'm going to go ahead and because I know that you keyboard warriors are going to get in there, Todd. It's not illegal to drive with your propane on. I've been doing it for 20 years and I'm not dead yet. Totally get that. Okay? But let me go over the reasons why I say you should never drive with your propane on. 1, in order to have your propane on, that means we have propane pressure sitting at our appliances. And the whole reason to have your propane on means that we're actually using it. And if we're using it, that means we're combusting. There's a flame there. Most all of our appliances, except for the generator, combust with that flame on the outside. In other words, we're using air for that combustion, and that air takes place on the outside. Well, the problem with that is, as you're traveling down the road, all of that air pulls on that flame, and not having the flame in the proper location can cause our appliances to fail or could potentially cause a fire. Now, for those of you keyboard warriors, hey, it's not illegal. There's actually 2 places where it is illegal. That is pulling into fueling stations and, of course, going into tunnels. Now, your state may actually add to that, but that's what we have from the DOT. Those are the 2 places you don't do it. But I'm going to tell you, just to save your appliances, right here you have an RV, the best thing to do is not travel with it on. Go ahead and turn it off, okay? Now, here's the thing. I know that we'll be going into winter, and for those of you that live up north, you're doing your cold winter RVing. First off, I question your adult decision-making skills. Why are you RVing in the freaking cold? But I totally get it. I jest. No, I don't. I still don't understand why you do it. All right, but I understand if you're traveling down the road, you're traveling on the road, and it's 20 degrees outside, stuff's going to freeze up, so you got to have that on. Man, that's a catch-22. It's a no-win situation. I know some of you, you're forced to have it on. My recommendation is do everything you can not to travel down the road. Travel down the road with your propane on. The second thing is don't have an open flame inside the RV other than when you're cooking. All other appliances, of course, whenever we're using the propane, the combustion takes place outside the RV. The only one that takes place on the inside is the stove. You know what you're not supposed to do? Use your stove or your oven as a heating source for the RV. The only caveat that we have for that combustion to take place inside the RV is, of course, you're standing in front of it. So you're watching it is what you're doing. The one thing you don't want to do is go to sleep with your stove or your oven on, right? Creates carbon monoxide. Not just propane, but carbon monoxide. And that stuff right there, well, that's a sleeping gas. Puts you to sleep forever. Okay, so just simply don't do it. Number 2, let's go ahead and cover this question. We see it a ton of different places, ton of different forums. All right, should we have our gate valve open on our black tank or our gray tank? Can I tell you, for best practices, leave your tanks closed until you're ready to dump, okay? Now, it's kind of obvious. We don't leave open the black tank valve because, of course, we're going to leave all the solids behind. You get your poop pyramid, right? But a lot of people will ask, well, what about the gray tank? If I leave the gray tank open, should be no problem. Can I tell you, there's stuff that's growing in there as well. Stuff crystallizes. And the best thing to do is to keep a healthy amount of water inside the tanks. The one caveat that I see maybe for the gray tanks is when you're washing clothes. I mean, you can get maybe one load in, and of course you have all that water going out. It's best to go ahead and open the gray tank when you're washing clothes, should you have a clothes washer inside the RV.
Fine, we'll go camping now that we got a clothes washer.
All right. So other than that, leave them closed until you're ready to go ahead and dump. By the way, best practice, dump the black tank first because you're going to get solids down that line, and then dump your gray tank, which actually help clean out all those solids down your poop chute. Stinky slinky. All right, let's go ahead and talk about topic number 3. All right, so not going to talk about how to repair awnings, but basically the best practices on using them. First and foremost, as I always say, if you're the only one with the awning out at an RV park and no one else has the awning out, they know something you don't. You're not doing it right. All right, now what am I saying with that? Guys, there's no warning when a gust of wind comes up, and that's nothing more than a big kite, okay? So best practices, don't leave your awnings open if you leave the RV, or if you're inside taking a nap or anything else. It's just best to go ahead and close them because it happens less than a couple seconds where a gust of wind comes up and rips it right off. Number 2, and I know that this happens because, of course, we all leave unexpectedly when rain hits. All right, when we have to roll up that awning and it's wet, okay? Awning is dirty. There's a lot of different stuff up there, and we roll that up. This is where mold grows. The best thing to do at that point is, as soon as you can, open that awning up and let it dry in the nice sunlight, if there's absolutely sunlight. Otherwise, if you're out there winter RVing or something like that, resist the urge to use your awning. The less frequent we open that up and expose it to, rain and everything else, the longer this will last. Now, what do you use to clean that off? There's different elements out there. There's different products out there. Hydrogen peroxide and a mixture of water can actually get up there and kill some of that stuff. What you want to make sure first is, as long as it doesn't color fast. So find a little section that you don't always have open and spray that mixture of hydrogen peroxide and water or some type of awning and a light broom brush, right? You want to put that on there and let it sit. That's going to help kill that mold and pull that stuff off, right? That's just one without looking at different products out there. So again, best practices, don't leave your awning open, unmanned, unpersoned, whatever you call yourself. And second, when you do put it up wet, try not to. Do everything you can to open it back up and let it dry before storing it. All right, let's go ahead and talk number 4, and let's talk electricity. Okay, it's been a while since I've covered this, but there's a couple things, do's and don'ts, whenever you're putting your RV out after a travel or anything else. First and foremost, whenever you take your power cord and plug into the pedestal, make sure that you don't have any large appliance ready to start working. What am I saying? Don't have your thermostat to your air conditioner set to cool while you're plugging in, because as soon as you plug in, that thermostat says, oh, there's the 120 volts, let's go. The problem is you haven't made full contact. So first and foremost, make sure that all of your large appliances are turned in the off position before plugging into shore power. Okay, we don't want that jump to take place. We want to make sure that we got a good, secure contact before we ask for stuff to turn on. Okay, it's plugging in hot is what I typically call it. And the same thing goes whenever we're leaving. You don't unplug hot. Please, oh please, do not unplug your shore power while your air conditioner's on. In the winter, when your little fireplace is on, those things draw a lot of electricity. There's high current there. And when you disconnect, there's going to be just a brief second where we get some really bad voltage coming across, and it could damage things, okay? So first and foremost, make sure that you never plug in hot. Secondly, be discriminating. When you look at whatever pedestal you're plugged into, if you see melted, burn marks, or anything else, I want you to be that RVer that says, nope, I'm not going to plug into that. Go back up to the RV park and say, either those outlets need to be changed out, or I'd like another place to put my RV, simply because if those are all melted, that means there was a thermal event there. from the previous person or however previous that was. But that plastic there is to take your power cord and the blades on your power cord, and it guides it in, and it's supposed to actually make a nice snug fit. And when they're melted away, I no longer have that nice snug fit. And it could be that I have a loose connection. Well, a loose connection is one of the worst things that we can have, because those electrons are going to jump. They're going to burn up your cord. You're going to have to spend a couple $100 replacing that. And we don't know what it's going to do to whatever high amp appliance, such as your air conditioner, how it's going to mess that up. Okay? So be discriminating when you're looking at that shore power. Do not plug into it if it looks like it's melted. Okay? Just simply don't. Protect your investment. So let's go ahead and talk number 5, and that is, before you ever leave, make sure that you do not fail doing a walk around your RV, right? And in doing a quick inspection, okay? Not only that, but if you're actually pulling your RV out from winter or whatever there may be, a couple weeks or whatnot, I want you to not fail by not actually performing a test on all of your major appliances. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, okay, as you start walking around, you're going to check your suspension. You're going to check your tires, visually check your tires, make sure the pressure's in there and everything else, right? What we don't want is for a blowout to take place on the road. Murphy's Law states that your tires are fine until you start using them. Well, when do you use them? When you're on the road. Number 2 is if your RV has been up for any amount of time, do not assume that when you put it up, everything was working, that everything's going to keep working. I mean, that's what we hope. But I will tell you, things break when it's just sitting there. Right? When we sit there and say, well, we put it up for the season, we got it back out, we got to our destination, oh crud, the plumbing doesn't work or the air conditioner's broke or anything else. If you can, don't fail at not actually running a test on all of your major appliances, right? Make sure the refrigerator works before you leave. Make sure the air conditioning works before you leave. Make sure the suspension is good and lubed before you leave. Don't fail at not looking at your RV before you're getting out there, because the whole reason why you're getting out is to have fun, not to sit there and do some type of mobile repair somewhere else. There's your 5 tech tips on what not to do with your RV. Until we see you again. All right, before you get to the bloopers, which is why you're here in the first place, the RV industry needs thousands of RV technicians and inspectors, and now is the perfect time to do that. If you want to make more money or have more control over your time, go ahead and click the link below. Or if you just want to learn how to fix your own RV, got something for you there. Head over to rvtechcourse.com and get started today. Now for the reason that you're out there in the video, roll the bloopers. Go ahead and click below. Go ahead and click below. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Your tip. Number 2. Let's go ahead and talk about number 2. What do I got for number 2? For those of you like, what's a poop chute? Don't type that in. You type in poop chute, you might see something you really wasn't intended to see. Don't listen to the name of the, Bam. All right.